Time travel, the movement between certain points in time. This concept has been discussed in philosophy and fiction, but mostly in sci-fi. The idea of a device used for this, which is also known as a time machine, was popularized by H.G. Wells' 1895 novel, The Time Machine. We still don't know if traveling to the past is physically possible. And even if it is fully possible, what does that mean for the future? My name is Kayla, this is Xenu, and we are Cauldron Convos, and I am wearing a silver shirt. It's supposed to be like a time travel outfit, but it's really not. I brought glasses as well. The smoke machine ain't working.
Oh no, did you unplug the smoke machine?
No.
Guess it's just not hot enough yet.
Or maybe we traveled back in time and shut it off. Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome to this channel if you are new here, and make sure to subscribe if you want weekly videos on the paranormal, conspiracy, true crime, all that good, spooky, scary stuff. And to our lovely subscribers, thank you so much for being here. We love you. Woo!
Yes.
There have been a lot of videos, photo evidence, quote unquote, of time travel where you see an object in a photo, a historic photo, and you're like, wait, how did that get there? Is it a time traveler? What is going on?
And when it comes to a lot of people, they're like, Pixar didn't happen, especially when it comes to the paranormal space. But then it's like you see the picture and they're like, oh, that's fake. That's a hoax.
Chaplins' Time Traveler, which is a viral video that surfaced online in 2010, which appears to show a woman talking on a mobile phone in a scene from Charlie Chaplin's 1928 silent film called The Circus, which is a little like freaky in itself. Like I feel like 1928 silent film
About the circus?
First of all, silent films, what? Circus, what? 1928? It's almost the Great Depression.
You know
what?
that there was a creepy clown on set. George
Oh.
Clark. Whoa!
So he uploaded this video being like, what? There she is. What? She's talking on a BlackBerry? Just kidding. I made that up.
It looks like a cell phone.
It looks like a cell phone, basically. And pretty crazy, right? And people also said that her outfit in the video seems to be like out of place for the time period too. So they took both of that as evidence that she must be a time traveler. Also, like, what is she doing? Like, who is she talking to? If she's a time traveler, who is she on the phone with? Like, you can't call someone in the future.
No.
Call me, beat me if you want to
Well,
beat me.
okay, a couple problems. Cell phones operate off of cell towers, which communicate with satellites. 1928, there is nothing in space.
Actually, an Irish filmmaker, George Clark, he was the one who discovered the scene. So he was just watching film, and he was probably like, holy crap. I mean, clearly he was, because he posted it on YouTube, and it got millions of views. And he noted he actually shared it with 100 people at a film festival before like releasing it or whatever, and no one could explain what it could possibly be. I guess no one in the 100 people film whatever knew about, yes, the portable amplifier that was available at the time, which is a hearing. Oh my god, how did that start? That's creepy. I didn't touch anything.
Uh-oh. It was
Charlie
the ghost
Chaplin.
of Charlie Chaplin.
The circus. That woman. Oh, she came back in time. Or whatever. Forward in time, I guess. And people also pointed out that the clothing is actually not that different from the, clothing that they wore in the time period. It was common to wear those clothes. But still a little freaky that 100 people, imagine those 100 people seeing that. They'd be like, holy shit. He won the film festival.
Yeah, it was like a scam.
Another form of media, but this time a photograph from the year 1941, was pointed out in 2013 as proof of time travel. The image depicts a man dressed in what appears to be modern hipster fashion at the South Fork Bridge in Goldbridge, British Columbia's reopening. This snapshot was actually included in the Bralorne Pioneer Museum's virtual exhibit, which gave the photo an extra sense of authenticity. So because the photo came from a museum, people were like, wait, what?
He looks like he's in Bushwick.
It's apparent that all these other people look like they're, could fit into the olden days in the 1940s. And this guy, it's like, what? He looks like he came out of Bushwick.
Who is
looks like he came from a Vampire Weekend concert. He looks like he's your local barista. Is that baristo? But people pointed out that the glasses he's wearing were actually just uncommon wraparound sunglasses, but were from 1944. The shirt he has on is a logo of a hockey team from that era. It's not just like a graphic tee like the Wombats or something. And the camera he's holding is a portable Kodak camera. one of several types of portable Kodak cameras that were made and sold since 1941. People thought it was like, oh my God, this camera also could be from another time period. So this photo was debunked, but still kind of crazy because his clothes are far more casual than literally anyone in the photo, which I think is what made him stand out so much.
He was a pioneer and he didn't even know it.
He was a hipster before hipsters wore upside down crosses back in 2010 Kesha period. Or maybe that was just me. It was just me, I think. And I wasn't. I was just a sad 13-year-old girl. Similar to the hearing aid device video, the circus Charlie Chaplin silent film we just saw, there was also a claim of mobile devices in 1943. There have been various claims about the existence of mobile devices in the past, but specifically a phone from 1943 is kind of the most famous. This device was found in an archaeological excavation in Austria and resembles a modern mobile phone. So this phone went viral because it was alleged to be 800 years old. Wait, I thought it was in 1943. What am I
think it was
saying?
founded in 1943, my friend.
Oh. The tablet was dated to around the 13th century BCE. By that time, the Sumerian writing style, usually known as cuneiform, had already been around for a few thousand years. Oh my God, look! Oh,
that's
it's fake.
That's so fake.
They just made it in clay. What a device like this with cuneiform writing is doing in Austria is something that no one is able to fully understand or explain. UFO hunters even pounce on the discovery as evidence of aliens visiting ancient civilizations on Earth and bringing sophisticated technology to the more primitive beings in clay form. Bitch, what?
They bring a fucking Nokia. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow, more than 500 newspapers reported from the so-called, quote, alien mobile phone and used the photo from a YouTube video from Paranormal Crucible. Paranormal Crucible used my photo without my permission. Here is the Daily Mail article noting, photo of a man on beach from 1943 sets Twitter alight with claims he is a time traveler because he's using a mobile phone. The photo is basically workers on an outing to a Cornish beach in World War II and was posted online in 2018. Oh, he's literally just looking at his hand. I liked the Charlie Chaplin one more than this, but still, interesting that people immediately think of that.
Well, people want to find something fantastical, unfortunately. I mean, me included. I would love to have something crazy happen, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if everyone in the world spent a day... No, this is stupid theory.
No, come on. Let's hear it.
If everyone in the world spent, not a day, a few minutes in a museum. I don't know why I say it so weird. And looked specifically for evidence of time travel.
No.
I wonder...
No one's going to find any. Don't
maybe,
even...
yeah.
What
okay,
stupid...
you're bringing up the point
shit
that people
goes...
looking...
Okay, think about it this way. Museums have tens of thousands of artifacts, usually. The big ones. New York City, Chicago, DC. Tens of thousands, if not millions of artifacts. Go through a fine-tooth comb on the ones that go on display.
That's true. That is true. But yeah. Well, whatever. That's true. You debunked my theory. Thanks a lot.
2 seconds.
Go out there.
I'm here all week, folks.
I'm cutting that out.
What? You can't do that.
Be the video editor then. The next thing we're going to be talking about is Rudolph Fentz. Now, Rudolph Fentz is a character from a popular movie called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Just kidding. Gotcha. I forgot Rudolph was a name. I feel like no one will name their child Rudolph ever again. Also Adolf. You
Yikes.
can't. Adolf and Rudolph are both out of bounds.
What's another Benito?
Benito? What's wrong with Benito? Oh.
Benito Mussolini.
Rudolph Fentz is a character from a popular urban legend about time travel. The legend states that in 1950, a man wearing old-fashioned clothing suddenly appeared in the middle of Times Square in New York City. The man seemed to be confused and disoriented and was hit by a car and killed before he could be questioned or identified. When police searched the man's pockets, they found a number of strange objects, including a copper token for a beer worth 5 cents, a bill for the care of a horse, and the washing of a carriage, a letter sent to a man named Rudolph Fentz in 1876, and some business cards with the name Rudolph Fentz on them.
And he was dead AF.
Dead AF. The man's clothing and personal effects also appear to be from the late 1800s or early 1900s.
Now, hear me out. This is definitely the best case of time travel because there's a lot. We'll get into this a little bit more about Albert Einstein and how you can travel forward in time, but you can't travel back. Or rather, you can just slow time down for yourself instead of actually traveling forward in time. But yeah, I don't know. This is pretty legit. And I mean, if this was a prank and he freaking died for it, he deserves to be known as a time traveler. So this was just kind of a
story.
Oh.
The story was published a number of times in the 70s and 80s as fact until 2000 after the Spanish magazine Mas Ala published a representation of the events as a factual report. Folklore researcher Chris Aubeck investigated the description to check the veracity.
Live Mas, baby.
His research led to the conclusion that the people and the events of the story invented all were fictional, although he could not find the original source. Pastor George Murphy...
How did he figure this out if he can't find the source?
I don't know.
He's like, oh, these guys just seem fictional.
Wait. Pastor George Murphy claimed in 2002 that the original source was from either a 1952 Robert Heinlein science fiction anthology entitled Tomorrow the Stars or the Collier's magazine from September 15, 1951. The true author was the renowned science fiction writer Jack Finney, and the Fentz episode was part of the short story I'm Scared, which was published in Collier's first. This meant that the fictional character and the source of the story were finally identified, so everyone thought. No copies of the story have ever been found, though, and Finney died before he could be questioned. The twist. In 2007, a researcher working for the then Berlin News Archive found a newspaper story in the archives from April 1951 reporting the story almost as it is reported today. This newspaper archive was printed some 5 months before the short story source as the origin. What's even odder, a number of researchers claim to have found evidence of the real Rudolph Fentz and proof of his disappearance aged 29 in 1876. So the case is still kind of unsolved, I guess, but this is according to coolinterestingstuff.com, so I would take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, you'll find that if you do some research on time traveling, it's like coolinterestingstuff.com is a credible source.
Yeah, and then we have hoaxes.org, though. And hoaxes.org, which is an organization, so is it hard to get a .org?
I don't know. I'm not in
Bring .org back. Like, can we be Cauldron Convos.org?
That means I think it's educational.
Oh,
or it's like non-profit or something.
What? This isn't educational? What are you talking about? So, according to hoaxes.org, for decades, this tale was popular among members of Europe's paranormal research community, and it was generally accepted as true, an example of genuine mystery, until 2005 when researcher Chris Aubeck investigated its history. He discovered that the tale had begun life as a science fiction story penned by Jack Finney and published in a 1951 anthology, like we said before, and 2 years later, a writer named Ralph Holland reprinted the story in a booklet, but he did so without permission and removed all indication that the story was fiction. Holland was a member of a group called Borderland that was committed to promoting belief in the existence of a fourth dimension. The Fentz story, when presented as fact, ably served this agenda. Through Holland's booklet, the tale of the accidental time traveler made its way to Europe, where it soon took root and circulated for decades within the European paranormal research community. Okay, this is kind of different than what coolinterestingstuff.com said.
Oh, what's a more reliable source? Hoaxes.com or coolinteresting.com?
It's hoaxes.org, first of all, which also makes me think, maybe it's hoaxes.gov, though, really, when you think about it. Maybe hoaxes.gov is trying to debunk all of the hoaxes or make everything seem like a hoax because they don't want to show the truth about Rudolph Fentz and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And that's why Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they pushed that movie so hard. And that's why no one will name their kid Rudolph ever again because... Oh, that's why... No, this is why. That's because Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, whenever you Google Rudolph, what comes up? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Probably for pages and pages and pages on Google search. Not Rudolph Fentz. They don't want you to know about him. Cool story, right?
I think it's definitely a cool story. I like the idea of it.
Me too. According to the legend, the artifacts that were recovered from this man's pocket did not have age. Did not have age.
That's cool.
So, like, meaning...
It's like a mint condition.
Yeah. Those business cards? Fresh, crispy.
Again, like, according to the story, if this guy was trying to trick people into thinking he's a time traveler, he deserves to be recognized as one because he freaking died for it.
John Titor.
Titor.
John Teeter-totter. Teeter-tot. Have you ever been on a seesaw? Because I was always scared to go on one, so I never did.
You were such a coward of a child.
I was an only child. I didn't have anyone to just, like, push me on a seesaw. Or I had no one to be on a seesaw with. Whoa, that's getting dark.
I wanted to make an invention where you can pee from my bunk bed growing up.
Okay. That's disgusting. You could have used the drink funnels.
Oh, like a beer bong?
Only you would be like in a bunk bed, like
growing up.
Well, piss on your brother. Piss on the floor.
No, I was trying to like think of a way I could.
So this guy, John Titor, posted on multiple message boards such as the forum at the Time Travel Institute.
Mind you, this was like
2000.
2000. So
he claimed he was a soldier. Not a soldier. Not soldier boy. He claimed he was a soldier.
Did I miss a joke here?
I just kept saying soldier on accident. He claimed he was a soldier sent from 2036, which was apparently the year the computer virus wiped the world. He was watching too much porn.
Ass first.
John Titor.
What does that have to do with porn?
Because you get computer viruses. Oh, a virus! Like that kind of virus? I thought he meant a computer virus. I forgot that viruses. I'm just thinking, I'm just such a techie girl. What? John Titor noted his mission was to head back to 1975 to grab an IBM 5100 computer, which had the necessary equipment to fight the future virus. Okay, that's why I thought it was a computer virus, because why he grabbing an IBM computer?
Now, why is he going back in time? I feel like computers used to be the size of buildings.
I know, that's why people were like, what? But his detour to the year 2000 was simply to get a little R&R while visiting his 3-year-old self. What? I would not want to visit my 3-year-old self.
Oh my god, that means we're the same age.
No thanks.
It's John Titor talks.
That in the past. Why would you want to visit your 3-year-old self? What kind of good childhood did you have?
He sounds like a priest.
Oh, Jesus. For literally months, this guy, John Titor, replied to everyone's questions that they had. He would describe the future in poetically phrased ways, always submitted with a general disclaimer that alternate realities do exist, so his reality may not be our own.
Please.
But on a Reddit thread, someone pointed out the John Titor story was interesting in the beginning, mostly because he was a fairly engrossing writer. Things were a little bit wonky from the beginning, the premise of him having to go back in time to retrieve an IBM 5100 because nothing then could do the microcode emulation that it did wasn't terribly credible. And then as time went on, his story of things diverged more and more from reality. According to John Titor, the US should have been in civil war for a decade already and is no longer even a single country. And then in 2003, the John Titor Foundation, a for-profit limited liability corporation, self-published John Titor, A Time Traveler's Tale, which is essentially just a bound copy of all of the messages that he published online. And the Italian investigative TV show, random, Voyager, took up the case in 2008. So 5 years later, hiring a private eye to locate the folks behind the LLC.
Tony Vespucci's investigators.
And this Tony from Pizzeria's investigators, the search led back to the aforementioned Lawrence Haber, who was listed as the company's CEO.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer, right?
Yep, an investigation by the amateur sleuth uncovered a mysterious P.O. box in Celebration, Florida, belonging to the LLC. And a group of friends with some downtime between gigs at their production company checked out the P.O. box themselves but found nothing worthwhile.
Celebration is near Mickey Mouse, right?
What? I think so.
Maybe he went back in time to have a date with Mickey.
Oh, or maybe it was Walt Disney the whole time.
Whoa, when you wish upon a star.
Someone released a video basically in which he names Haber's brother. So this man, the Lawrence Haber, the lawyer, he named his brother Maury as his prime suspect by using a side-by-side analysis of phrase usage.
Not Maury Povich.
No. It's spelled Morey. That Maury. Maury.
He went back in time and you are not the father.
We saw it here first. We watched this. Never mind.
Oh,
okay.
You sick fuck.
In 2004, a computer engineer named Marlon Pullman filed a patent for a time travel machine that, quote, back-engineered concepts in the Titor posts. This started another round of speculation that Pullman himself was the original Titor poster. Last March, he was arrested for drugging and sexually assaulting 4 women. That's not funny because Those women.
Oh my God. No,
that was just shocking. Yeah, very shocking. Titor did provide a number of technical specs regarding how time travel worked, with overly complex algorithms and grainy, hard to make out photos of his actual machine, which apparently ended up being a 1987 Chevy Suburban. He even showed off his cool futuristic military insignia. On March 24th, 2001, he offered his final piece of advice, which was, quote, bring a gas can with you when the car dies on the side of the road.
Okay.
And then he signed off forever.
Like 9/11 or something.
He signed off forever and returned home. He was never heard from again. He claimed that he had been sent back in time to retrieve an old computer that was needed to fix a computer problem in his own... A computer problem? It was a computer problem.
I guess it was a computer virus.
They started taking over. It's Cyber Chase. That show. Is that what Cyber Chase was about? Now, let's talk about Bob White / Tim Jones. Similar to John Titor between 2001 and 2003, two people that went by the aliases Bob White and Tim Jones sent some spam email. And in the spam email, they were essentially claiming to be time travelers stuck in 2003 or that they were seeking parts to use for their time machine. The time traveler was eventually identified as a professional spammer, Robert J. Todino, known as Robbie. Hey, Robbie, Todino. His attempt to travel in time were a serious belief, and while he believed he was perfectly mentally stable, his father was concerned that those replying to his emails had been preying on Todino's psychological problems. In his book Spam Kings, journalist Brian S. McWilliams, who had originally uncovered Todino's identity for Wired magazine, revealed that Todino had been previously diagnosed with dissociative disorder and schizophrenia, explaining the psychological problems of which his father had spoken about.
That must take so much effort to do a spam email. Like, just let him do it. If he's going to all that trouble?
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, yeah. Like, why are you busting him? Another person that claims that they've traveled back in time. They claim that they traveled back in time from the year 2256 and used his knowledge of future stock market trends to make millions of dollars. The story is that Andrew Carlson was arrested in March of 2003. What is everything happening in 2003?
Yeah, I guess people were fucking poor.
Or there were so many time travelers going back to 2003. Maybe 2003 was like a setting on that Chevy Suburban to go back in time. There was like 2003 beep, like the only button.
I feel like it's just really a boring time to be alive.
He was arrested in 2003 for SEC violations and turning $800 into $350 million. After his arrest, reports suggested he confessed to being a time traveler in a 4-hour confession. The story went literally around the world in different news websites and media platforms. The spokesman at the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission in Washington gives a weary sigh and then a slightly strained chuckle when he hears the words time traveler and, quote, inside trader. The story is pure fantasy. There is no truth in it at all, he says. This is the kind of story that belongs in the same file as, quote, Elvis Shrine found on Mars.
Well,
hey, watch it.
If someone has returns like that, shit.
Or the SEC, because, government is just saying this as a cover-up for the government because they took this guy.
And now that's how Nancy Pelosi has so much money.
That's how she has so much money, because she's using this poor guy, Andrew Carlson.
We're on to you, Nancy Pelosi. Wake up, lizard people.
New York Post article titled, quote, Internet baffled by woman appearing to hold an iPhone in an 1860 painting. So here is the painting. This is the New York Post article.
I love this.
Peter Russell, a retired local Glasgow government officer, was the first person to shine a light on the painting. He told Motherboard that he and his partner saw the painting this summer while visiting the New Pinakothek Museum in Munich and had to know more about it. The woman another person seeing something in a museum. Why didn't the freaking dusters that you were saying analyze everything? Why didn't they point it out, huh?
The dusters? Who?
I don't know. Whoever goes to the artifacts in a museum with their little gloves. The woman is said to be actually reading a prayer book during her stroll rather than browsing social media.
Rather than browsing YouTube, Cauldron Convos.
She's watching... Oh, yeah.
Jeez. What is it? Your mind is in the gutter.
The, quote, iPhone in an 1860 painting is a popular internet meme that involves adding a modern-day iPhone to a painting or photograph from a much earlier time period. So this started, I guess, creating this chaos of people editing these phones into photos. And the idea is to create a humorous juxtaposition of old and new and to comment on the ways in which technology has changed the way we live our lives. Boring. It's a time traveler. The alleged time travel machines. There's one called the Die Glocke, which is German for the bell, which is a supposed top secret Nazi scientific experiment that has become the subject of various conspiracy theories.
The Nazis were onto something with this science shit, and that's why the U.S. abducted all of them, and instead of putting them in the gulags like the Russians, they're like, come build our rockets, which is totally fucked.
According to the legend, the Nazi scientists working on Die Glocke were attempting to develop a highly advanced technology that would allow them to create a powerful new weapon or even time travel. Rumors of the device first appeared as Nazi sci-fi in the 1960 book Morning of the Magicians.
I love that.
Who is...
Nazi sci-fi.
Go away. Author Nick Cook wrote in his 2001 book, The Hunt for Zero Point, identified claims about Die Glocke as having originated in the 2000 Polish book claims of a device called the Bell, engineered by Nazi scientists, that was a, quote, glowing rotation contraption rumored to have some kind of anti-gravitational effect, be a time machine or part of an SS anti-gravity program. Cook even floated the possibility that the notorious SS Colonel Hans Kammler traded Die Glocke to the U.S. military in exchange for his freedom. Kammler disappeared in the closing days of World War II and was never seen again, so this is kind of where the theory stemmed from. Still, some UFO conspiracy theorists believe U.S. forces did capture Nazi scientists and even Kammler himself and put them to work on developing Die Glocke's anti-gravity technology. As the legend goes, this culminated in the so-called Kecksburg incident when a bell-shaped UFO allegedly crashed outside Kecksburg, Pennsylvania in December of 1965. The chronovisor is a supposed device that was invented by a Catholic priest named Father Pellegrino Ernetti. And according to Ernetti, the chronovisor was a machine that could capture and display images from the past, essentially allowing people to see and hear events that had occurred at any point in history. Ernetti claimed that he and a team of scientists had built the chronovisor in the 1950s using advanced technologies that were not yet known to the public. He also claimed that the Vatican had funded the project and that the machine had been used to view important historical events, including the crucifixion of Jesus and the founding of Rome. Interesting. Despite the sensational claims made by Ernetti, there is no concrete evidence to support the existence of the chronovisor. Many experts have dismissed the story as a hoax. Whatever, hoax.org. The Iranian time machine. Now, this Business Insider article says that an Iranian scientist says he invented a time machine that can predict the future. This person claims that this time machine can predict the future of any individual with a 98% accuracy. The inventor was a 27-year-old named Ali Razegi, and he registered the Ariyek time-traveling machine with Iran's state-run Center for Strategic Inventions. A few days later, the story was removed and replaced with a story quoting an Iranian government official that no such device had been registered. He is the managing director of Iran's Center for Strategic Invention and reportedly has another 179 inventions registered in his name. So I feel like...
So you could invent 179 different types of office wheels.
That? Faith's grandpa.
Shout out, Gramps.
The Philadelphia experiment was an alleged event that was supposedly witnessed by an ex-merchant mariner named Carl M. Allen at the United States Navy's Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in 1943. He described an experiment where the U.S. Navy was attempting to make a ship called the USS Eldridge, and they were trying to make it disappear. The story first came about in late 1955 when Carl Allen sent a book full of handwritten annotations referring to the experiment to a U.S. Navy research organization, and a little later, a series of letters making further claims to a UFO book writer. The U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted. The details of the story contradict well-established facts about USS Eldridge, and that the physics the experiment is claimed to be based on are non-existent. Now, another conspiracy theory called the Montauk Project alleges that the government carried out a series of secret experiments at the abandoned Camp Hero Air Force Station in Montauk, New York in the 1970s and 80s. The theory claims that the government was conducting experiments such as time travel. According to UFO researcher Jacques Vallée, the Montauk experiment story seemed to have originated with the highly questionable account of Preston Nichols and Al Bielek, who both claim to have recovered repressed memories of their own involvement. Preston Nichols also claims that he was periodically abducted to continue his participation against his will. Famous physicist, also widely known as one of the greatest and most influential of all time, Albert Einstein, proposed the theory of relativity in 1905.
This is basically an explanation of time and space and how it functions scientifically.
Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time and space are interconnected and that the rate at which time passes depends on the speed and gravitational field of the observer. This means that time travel is possible in theory, but only in a limited sense. For example, time dilation effects have been observed in experiments involving high-speed travel, and scientists have used this effect to study the nature of time.
Time dilation is basically time slowing down near a larger object, especially when you're traveling at a higher rate of speed. So in theory, you can never actually travel forward in time, but you can slow down time for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This effect arises from the fundamental nature of space and time, which are no longer treated as separate entities but are seen as part of a single unified fabric called space-time. Speed of light is also a fundamental constant in this theory, which means that an observer approaches the speed of light, time appears to slow down relative to an observer who is stationary.
So if you were to take a train around the Earth 1 mile per hour less than the speed of light over and over and over and over again, time would move so much slower for you that by the time if you ride on the train for like, an hour, you'd get off the train and everyone you know and love would be dead. Solar sails, right? So it's basically a sail that picks up UV rays and it uses that to propel into space, like for intergalactic travel. But if you hit a particle, that shit's gonna explode.
Interesting.
So they can't, they're working on it.
Similarly, if an observer is near a massive object like a black hole, time would appear to slow down due to the strong gravitational field. This effect has been observed experimentally and has been used to verify the predictions of Einstein's theory. Overall, time dilation is a key prediction of Einstein's theory of relativity and has been observed in experiments and verified through astronomical observations. Einstein did not believe that time travel was possible in a practical sense, however. He argued that any attempt to travel back in time would create paradoxes, such as the famous grandfather paradox, in which a time traveler could potentially prevent their own birth by changing events in the past. Einstein believed that the laws of physics would prevent such paradoxes from occurring, and that backward time travel was therefore impossible in practice.
I agree with that.
So that's cool. That's like the science in it.
According to Big Brain Einstein, it can happen.
Yeah.
Did you know Albert Einstein's brain was stolen a couple of times? This leads into the discussion of the implications of time travel.
Yeah, like Einstein said, the what do you call it, grandfather paradox effect or something?
Yeah, can you cap your grandfather and then frickin' still survive? No.
Oh, that's why he named it that?
Yeah, what if I go back in time and I kill my grandfather before he has my father?
It's not even as simple as that. I mean, doesn't even need to be as complicated as that. Even a slight, if you go to the store and buy a box of donuts, that could affect it, It's like the butterfly effect.
Anything.
Bro. Do you think time travel is possible?
I think so. I think that if you want to observe time dilation, just go near your mama and time will slow down because she's so fat.
Could the government be concealing the truth of time travel?
They definitely are. Government's freaking sketchy, bro.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast on time travel. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear next.
Send us an email if you think time travel is real or fake.
Yeah, send us.
I'll read it and I'll respond personally.
Make sure to subscribe and we'll see you guys next time here on Cauldron Convos. Bye. BRB, gotta go to the future.